Hey guys, welcome to my channel, Amongst Doubts. If you're new here, my name is Samantha and I am a new homeschooling mom of 4 kiddos. In today's video, I just wanted to have a little chat with you guys and just come on here and be a little vulnerable with you guys, and also just share some encouragement with y'all as well in what I've seen over kind of what I've been going through over the last few months, but how how I have been feeling God speaking to me, especially the last few days and the last couple of weeks. And if you guys really like this style of video where I'm just getting on here and chatting with you guys about, just being vulnerable and what's going on in my own life, please go ahead and give me a like. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this video. So I just want to start this off by saying my oldest kiddo has recently turned 11. So he turned 11 back in November, and then under him I have a 9-year-old daughter and then a 6-year-old daughter who's soon to be 7, and then I have a 2-year-old. So I am gradually getting out of these younger kid ages and on my way out of the toddler ages, and I have just entered in this season of overwhelm and anxiety, and it all has to do with being a mom and what my motherhood journey is looking like now that I am parenting older kids. Now I know my kids aren't that much older, but they're getting into the tween years. They are finding themselves and their own personalities, their own interests, new attitudes, new behavior patterns, and I'm entering into the unknown, and that really kind of makes me nervous. It's kind of like being a new mom all over again. I remember all of these same sort of feelings when I had my son, of not really knowing what I was doing, and just trying to panic my way through each day, it felt like sometimes, but I feel like I'm entering that stage all over again. I recently said to a few friends of mine that I feel like I am a really good mom to toddlers and little kids, but I am struggling so hard as a mom of tweens. And she very kindly reminded me that I didn't start off as a good mom to small kids because I didn't have small kids to begin with, and sort of helped me go through the remembering process of how hard it was when my first was born, when my first was a toddler, when I had 2 toddlers, and then when I had a 4-year-old, a toddler, and a newborn. So I feel like for me especially, it has been so easy to forget the struggles that I went through back then, because now I'm in a whole new kind of struggle, and I feel like I can ponder on those old things and feel like it was so much easier, parenting was easier, and in reality I'm just forgetting how hard it really was. It was a different kind of hard. It was still hard, and I feel like once I found that rhythm, I'm now finding my place in a new normal of a new parenting stage. And so that's where I'm at with that. That's the struggle that I'm in, is just finding my way through parenting these older kids who really speak for themselves and are thinking for themselves and have way more pushback than they ever have before. And it's been a struggle for me. I definitely won't lie. I have been trying to find my way through this, and I just wanted to share with you guys a couple of books. I've ordered quite a few books, but 2 of the ones that I am going to start to work through first that I found on Amazon. One of them, I heard this couple speak at a convention last year, an online convention last year. And I remember them talking about this book, but I wasn't really having these sorts of issues last year, so I didn't really think much of it. And then I went back, and they were recently on a podcast. I can't remember whose podcast they were on. It could have been Heidi St. John's, but it might not have been. But anyways, they were on a podcast, and they were talking about their books, because one of their areas of focus, or where a lot of their books are, is whenever you get past that young stage parenting, but before you enter the teenage years. So what I really liked about them is when I look up parenting books, it's like new mom parenting or teenage parenting. And a lot of time, like the in-between, when you're parenting these like 10 to 9 to 12-year-olds, that age range is kind of left out in the parenting book world. So I went back after listening to that podcast. I went ahead and went on Amazon and I found their book and I went ahead and purchased it. So I just wanted to share this with you guys. If you are in the middle of a parenting struggle with tweens like I am, or maybe you're not, but you think that you might enter that stage soon, or even just to have on the back burner as a resource for later, I thought it would be great for me to go ahead and share this resource with you guys. So this is No Longer Little, Parenting Tweens with Grace and Hope, Hal and Melanie Young. There's the book there. And it says, sometimes between 8 and 14, even terrific kids can become a challenge. Compliant kids turn combative. Diligent students disappear into a fog. Faithful children fill up with doubts. They ride an emotional roller coaster and invite you to climb aboard. Don't get a ticket for that ride. Instead, here's help to understand what's going on physically, mentally, and spiritually. Learn how discipline needs to change to stay effective. Find out how to help them to get the schoolwork done. Get practical strategies for dealing with emotional meltdowns. Protect the parent-child relationship and lay a foundation to make the teen years great. So, like I said, this is really for that. They say 8 to 14, but I could agree with that. I was thinking about 8, 9 to 12. But I mean, I'm not an expert or anything. But yeah, I think that this is going to be really helpful for me, because one of the things that I know that I'm struggling with is because I feel like sometimes whenever your education has to do with like behavior, at least for me, my education is like children, child development and behavior, and that's also what I worked in, like working with kids in that capacity. And so I feel like a lot of the strategies that I used then, because I worked with younger kids, I was also able to apply to my own kids when they were young, and those strategies just haven't been as effective for my tweens, and I find myself like not knowing what to do, and it's a strange place for me. So I'm recognizing that I need help, and so I'm trying to find ways to get that help. So I'm really excited to get this read. Hopefully I can start reading this soon. And the other thing that I got is From Grouchy to Great, Finding Joy in the Journey of Motherhood. And this is a daily devotional. There's this here, and the back of this book says, as moms, we can all struggle to keep it together sometimes. In a moment, anger or frustration can spill out. The battle for Jesus to reign in our hearts and through our emotions is a fight we all face every day. From Grouchy to Great is a devotional filled with real-life stories that will help you. Be encouraged that the battle can be won by God's grace and wisdom. Discover practical ways to overcome anger. Strengthen your resolve as you face day-to-day struggles. Walk in the freedom that God offers, and more. The good news, my friend, is that we don't have to face this battle alone. Joy can be yours in the journey of motherhood. So I'm really excited about this. And it's really funny because when people like meet me and they see me with my kids, they think that I am a really patient mom and that I don't yell. I maybe rarely get angry because they see how well behaved my kids are, and they see that I'm pretty easygoing. And maybe before my kids like got attitudes, that was the case. But I will say I have had my fair share of sinful anger outbursts over the last few months, and that's not the kind of mom that I want to be, and that's not something that I want my kids to leave my house like knowing me for. Is like, gosh, my mom was so angry and grouchy all the time. All she did was nag. And like I see that forming and I see it happening, and it's not something that I want to be normal. So I'm really trying hard with getting my head in the Bible and prayer. I have been praying so much. I feel like one of the things that I always thought that I need to pray for was patience, and I still do. I pray for patience every single day. But I realized that my patience, God has given me patience that I didn't even think that I had. My patience has grown so much. But what I'm finding now is like just that grouchiness and the struggle and the bitterness and the mundane. And I really want to find the joy in motherhood again. I feel like I had that a few years ago. Again, before the attitudes, before the talking back, before the combative, like older kids, you know, that's what they do. Like, not, we are all fallen, we are all sinful. And so my kids and myself are no different from that. Like, we're sinners, and apart from Jesus, like, you know, we would continue to struggle. So those are the two resources, these two that I plan to start to get my head into here really soon. But I also wanted to share with you something that has been popping up for me over the last few days. I saw it because I'm doing the Read a Bible in a Year plan, and we were ending out Deuteronomy and getting ready to go into Joshua. And so in Deuteronomy, at the end of Deuteronomy is whenever God tells Moses, like, it's finished. He's led the people to the promised land, but he's not to enter the promised land. He's going to die. And so with all of that, God tells Moses to, like, tell the people, to prepare the people, and to prepare Joshua. And so one of the things that Moses says to Joshua is, like, be strong and courageous, and know that the Lord is with you. No matter, like, God will lead the way. And so then now that I'm in Joshua, I read now that God said this specifically to Joshua now. Be strong and courageous, and know that I am with you. And so it really touched me. Like, I just felt the Holy Spirit overcome my body, reading, like, listening to those verses and reading those verses, because I felt like it was something that I needed to hear. Like, I need to put all of my trust in God. One of my biggest issues is, and I've said this before in the past, I am very type A, and I have a sense of need for control a lot of times, and it's something that I've been working on for a very long time. And that controlling nature in me is super high when I'm entering in new phases, or when something is new to me. So, and entering in this season now where my kids are older and they are, you know, having these attitudes sometimes, being combative, questioning, and not that any of these things are wrong, because they have to learn and grow through it as well. Like, this is something that we're learning and going through and growing through all together. But I can't help them if I don't help myself first. And so that is why this is also important to me, to get myself and my mind right. But I realize I need to, in other areas where I've been able to fully give over control and give my trust in God, there's still pockets where I try to hold on to control. And I notice when I do that, that's where I have the most anxiety, the most stress. Like, I am just all out of sorts and out of whack. And it takes me a while to realize that. I don't know why. It's like this repetitive cycle of, like, when I try to have control, things go crazy. When I lose that control and I give it over to God, things work out. But I have to get there first. So that's one of the things that I'm working on right now, is, like, just putting all my trust in God and knowing that through Him, I am strong and courageous, and I can do all things through Christ. And so even if that is just, like, getting through each day without being grouchy, like, I am here for it. God, pull me through. And so I wanted to share that with you. And then the other thing I mentioned before, I am currently reading Becoming Mom Strong by Heidi St. John. And along with it, I'm also doing her Bible study. And so I just read chapter 7 today, and it's the title of it is Don't Give Up. And in that title, in this chapter, she's talking about unforgiveness. Now, her situation is a little bit different, but I was able to apply it to even the situation now, because in the past I have, especially before I found Christ and had a relationship with God, I was a major grudge holder. I was so unforgiving. And in reading that chapter, I was noticing that a lot of times I I feel like I get offended by my kids. Like, how dare you talk to me like that? How dare you do this? How dare you do that? Like, do you know what we do for you? Do you know what we sacrificed for you? Do you know this? And that's just such an unforgiving spirit. And I feel like that chapter really called me out on it. And so, and especially the offense. One of the things that she says here is unforgiveness is like kryptonite to your walk with God. And that's so true. And I just like, that really hit me. And then there's a part in here where she talks about being offended. And I just feel like as my kid's mom and as like also a homeschooling mom and sacrifice, and it becomes very selfish. Like all of the things that I've sacrificed to do X, Y, and Z, or to be X, Y, and Z for you. I feel like in this middle of working out, parenting these older kids, I find myself being very selfish and being very unforgiving and just lacking grace and mercy for my own kids, because I feel like I act like I don't know what they're going through. The hormonal changes, the brain development changes that they're going through. I know these things, but at the same time, I still find myself being like so selfish in my own offense at how they act. So I feel like that chapter was so good. It really called me out and opened my eyes to see like my own sinful nature in this area of where I'm struggling at parenting right now. And then I got in to do some of the Bible study for this week, and one of the parts where she does the prayer, and it says, "Dear Lord, when I'm with my kids, there's no hiding my impatience, my selfishness, my lack of wisdom. I know you're working in me and I'm becoming more like you, but sometimes I get discouraged when I see how flawed I still am. And yet when I look back at who I used to be, I see these changes." And so I thought that was a really good there's more to that. She asks you to do some things here in response to that. And so I felt like I really needed that exercise because, one, I felt called out in reading the chapter, but like just sitting here and seeing like sitting at the table with my kids as they're doing work and I'm doing this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, when I'm with my kids, there's no hiding. Like I said, I have had my fair share of sinful outbursts, like whether that be anger due to my selfishness at being offended for no reason, my impatience because I'm working with my kiddo who's having struggles and not getting it, yet I'm impatient. And then also lack of wisdom. Like I don't have any family members, like I wasn't homeschooled. I don't have any family members who did homeschool. And so I'm walking this, not necessarily alone because I have community now, but this is just something that I am doing that's different from the rest of my family. And quite honestly, different from a lot of my friends prior to finding homeschool friends. So yeah, that was a really good exercise for me. And so I just want to, that's me being vulnerable and letting you guys know where I'm at in my parenting, but also wanting to encourage you. Like if you are struggling in your parenting, no matter what age your kids, just know that you're not alone. No matter what you see out in public, what you see on social media, whether that be your Facebook timeline, your Instagram feed, YouTube videos, people's appearances and what they choose to put out there isn't always the full picture. So while a family may seem like they have it all together and like their kids never misbehave and like the mom is just this most patient, caring, compassionate person, I can almost guarantee you that those people that you think that about also struggle in parenting, whether they are currently in the middle of a struggle or just coming out of a struggle. Like I said, I felt like I was in the groove with my parenting, and then my kids turned 9 and 11 and here we go back to square one again. So just be encouraged in knowing that you're not alone, but also knowing that there's people who have gone through this before us, who we can find resources in, and who we can find wisdom in and learn from them. Whether you start reading Becoming Mom Strong by Heidi St. John, or you get No Longer Little by Hal and Melanie Young, or, you know, the best parenting book out there is the Bible. So whether you're just getting your head and finding those verses in the Bible that you need for that moment, that day, that situation, do that. Or even a devotional, just something to help you walk through your own emotions and your own struggle of what you're going through, but tying it all back to the Bible and to God's word, and He will lead you. I feel like through all of this, that's the number one thing that I have felt the Holy Spirit is I'm not alone. And if I just loosen up and give away some of that control, and I have trust in God, He will lead me. Not saying that things are going to be easy. They're never easy. Things aren't going to be perfect. They're never perfect. But I know that I can have rest in Him, knowing that I don't have to do all of the work on my own. Because the hardest thing that you can ever do is feel like you're doing it alone. You always have God on your side, and there's always other people out there that you can reach out to. So that is all I have for you guys today. And like I said, I just wanted to get on here, let you guys know where I'm at, be a little vulnerable with you, but also hopefully have some encouragement for you. Maybe this was something that you needed to hear, that you're not alone, or maybe you have been looking for some resources, and these few that I have here are exactly what you were looking for. Whatever it is, I hope that this video is useful to you. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. Also, if you aren't already subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.